Very cool.
VC.
You look extremely comfortable.
I'm all right.
Okay. I respect it.
I'm chilling.
So the flight was good?
Oh,
No. You said that was so much despair.
we lived.
Well, that's a good thing.
Live
Yeah.
to tell the tale.
And
Dude,
what a tale.
I said that slow so I wouldn't mess up. Live to
Say it,
tell the tale.
Live tells the tale. What?
Yeah, it was my first flight, and it was it wasn't as bad as
you thought.
I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Well, I'm just glad y'all are here, man.
Yeah, me too.
You made it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Almost Brothers podcast. Thank you for joining us yet again. We love you so much.
So much.
So much. Two so's.
Rock and roll.
That's just messed up. On today's episode, we are talking about relationships BC and AC.
AD.
I knew one of y'all was going to say it.
I didn't say it.
No. Before Christ and after Christ.
Yeah.
The difference in yourself and the difference in your relationships. Do you have the same friends as before?
No.
Have people kind of left you? Do you feel like that's partly their fault, partly your fault? Like, you just kind of fall apart. Do you think it's important to keep those relationships? We're going to discuss all that today.
I was about to say which one.
Which one? A lot of questions.
Which one do I answer?
So we'll start.
Yes.
We'll start with what is something that you've seen in yourself that is a major change before Christ and after Christ, other than being saved. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like I know for me, it's just my attitude has completely shifted.
Right.
I'm more cognizant of others than I am myself now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know the first thing God took from me was the language.
Yeah.
Because I was a horrible cusser. I mean, it was bad. And it was pretty miraculous, really. He just took it away. I mean, that happened as soon as I got saved. He just took that away from me.
Yeah.
And I do have it's an overall outlook on life. It changes.
Oh my gosh. I remember I can't remember where y'all went, but I remember y'all came back and you got mad at somebody at the pool or something and it just came out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that is so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally, the cuss word just flew out of my mouth. And what was really cool though, was the shock
Right.
that I got from my family when I did it, because before, it would have been like, oh, it's just dad.
Right.
And now it was just just complete silence.
I'm sorry, I didn't know where that came from.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That is awesome. Well, that's good. And some things are like that, when you get saved. Some things are just easy to just okay, cool. Like,
Right.
Man, that was somewhat easy. Of course we know that it's Christ working in us, but some things you just have to really struggle and fight and just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. But that's good. Yep, that's good. What about you, Ty? You've been perfect your whole life, so this is gonna be hard for you.
I know. I'm sorry. I would say for me, cussing. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
It's when you're in the military. It's kind of a requirement.
They make you sign that into your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, it's I kind of like you having more of a mindfulness for others, especially after marrying Liv, because Liv's probably one of the most compassionate people we know.
Yeah.
To a fault.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed.
But we love her.
She's awesome. Yeah.
But I mean, especially with close friends of mine, like you guys, and one of my best friends from high school, best friend from college. I'm always reaching out to them. One lives up in up in Colombia. One lives all the way in Florida. And so I'm always trying to reach out. And before, really having a relationship with Christ and really being a follower of Christ, I wouldn't probably have done something like that and probably have the attitude of, they're not going to check on me, I'm not going to check on them.
Right.
But making an effort to, just reach out to them, ask about them, and just continue having a relationship with them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've caught myself, especially lately, just kind of trying to do a lot of soul searching. That's cool because that all starts with S.
Onomatopoeia.
I've noticed myself catching things that didn't used to be something I even thought about, that now I think a little bit more on it. Like, being frustrated in line at Kroger with the people in line and having more patience with the person working, or, somebody's doing training or something like that. I know I never thought about that, before. I'm very, very thin on patience. And now I wouldn't say I'm a whole lot better, but I'm at least knowing, okay, I need to work on this. Like, this is something I need to work on, especially with my kids and with Jamie, is I get very flustered and very impatient with them, but now I'll catch myself before I let it go from frustration to lashing out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now I'm like, oh no, that's something I need to work on. Don't let that, especially, I told y'all, I was watching a video and it was talking about, remember picking your kids up and enjoy it and take the moment, because one day it'll be the last time you pick them up as kids. It'll be, they just get older and you don't do that. So I've been really trying to focus on spending time and good quality time with the kids.
Right.
And that's part of it, is not getting frustrated with them. Because I find myself a lot of times when we're doing something fun, I'll get frustrated with them in the midst of doing it. Like, we're playing a board game and they're not fully understanding how to play. And I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, we're trying to have a game night. Like, well, why don't y'all just learn and be, and I'm like, I'm the one causing this just craziness. It's like, take a moment, be patient, be calm. So I know that's something that I've noticed about myself, a lot. Same with friendships. I used to kind of, dude, what are you doing? And now I've tried to catch myself at doing that and being more understanding and patient with even friends.
The group of friends that I have now, y'all, the Feases,
We're buddies.
I love the show.
Kicking and fun. We're buddies.
Are you done? These are the longest friendships I've ever had. You have work friends depending on where you work, and when you leave that job, a lot of times those friendships don't go with you.
Right.
So it's been awesome to be able to maintain the friendships that we have throughout all this. So that's something that I struggle with is keeping in contact with people. I'm not good at that. I mean, it's even, I haven't talked to my brother and I couldn't tell you when, and it's just, I just don't reach out to him.
Yeah. Do you find that friends you had beforehand, before you got saved, just kind of naturally fall away?
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Well, hey there. This is Mike from the Almost Brothers podcast. We want to thank you for checking out this episode. I want to ask you, has this podcast encouraged you in any way and you would like to give back? Well, guess what? We have a way that you can do that. Okay, you could do $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. What this does is this helps financially support the show so we can continue to put out good content and encourage you. So if you've got time, go down in the show notes and click on that support button that will take you to the page to where you can give back and help us to continue this thing. Back to the episode.
Well, you just have different interests.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's generally, and I remember being unsaved, before I was saved, being around Christians made me feel the type of way.
Right.
You know, and I know now what it was. It was conviction.
Yeah.
You know, you're seeing somebody live a certain way that you know is what's missing in your life. So now that I am a Christian, I get that from other people. You know, and it's even at work now. You know, they hired me and they told all their employees, we hired a pastor, so you are going to have to watch your language.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's okay. Thanks, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, people are just different around you when they know you're a Christian. So it's hard to maintain friendships with people that are not. And it's a like-minded thing is all it is.
Yeah. Well, especially when your friendships contain and circled around a certain thing that now you don't do anymore.
Right.
You know, you used to go hang out and go, you know, to the bar or to the club with your friends, and now you don't do that. And that was kind of the only time you got together anyway.
Right.
So it's like just naturally now I don't do that. So I don't ever see them. Or you had college friends or high school friends, and that's kind of what brought y'all together. And now you're not doing it, so you just naturally fall away.
Right.
You know, Tyler, you have that in your life. I know you said a couple of your college friends, you still stay in touch with, though, right?
Just one from college, just one from high school, and they. So when I was in college, I would say I was towards the end of college is when I was starting to work my way, probably around my third year, maybe fourth year, starting to work my way out of the, I guess my before Christ era, I guess. It's so weird to say. And Andrew, he's the friend that I met in college, and it's the one thing that one kind of drew us together is we both we're kind of the same person.
There's two of you. That's
I know
terrifying.
I know, but he's like me, but in a better way. I'll put it that way.
That's hard to do too. You're pretty great.
But it's true. We really do have like the same personalities. But the one thing that was almost kind of like the glue was we both had that kind of desire for a Christ like or a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, he saw me at my worst in college, but was still there and was still that friend for me. Same thing with my friend Austin, who I've known since I think sometime in junior high, maybe elementary school. And again, he was one saw me at my worst in college, and still he's still my friend today. So I guess I didn't do him wrong or anything. And you know, it's that you could ask them. Because that's another thing that I've noticed is just how I hold myself, how I talk to people, and my personality really has changed a whole lot since really getting serious about being a Christian. And you could ask them, and they'd probably say it's almost a 180.
Yeah.
But he. And Andrew's that friend that, I mean, we talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You know, what we're struggling with and what we need to do better about and all that. So that's that talking about relationships before God and after God. Say, you know, me and him, we had that. I mean, we were roommates in college, we were best friends. We went to the gym together, and that wasn't necessarily before God, but it was before I started taking God serious.
Right, yeah. Like,
and
actually,
now after, it's like, this is what we talk about on a regular basis.
Well, I wanted to ask that because I feel that Christians like to turn to the fact of, and Rich, you kind of hit on it. Well, my old friends don't want to hang out with me anymore because they're convicted.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the flip side, I think Christians do a bad job at continuing relationships outside of Christ, which we need. We need to have those relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Because we fail to meet the people where they're at.
Right.
We kind of say, well, I'm over here, and if you don't make it over here, then I just can't hang out with you.
Right.
And that's not the case either, you know. So I think that a lot of times we allow non-godly, air quote, non-godly friendships to fall away because they're not walking the same path as us, and we stop giving an effort to still be friends with
because
them.
it's easier.
Right. And it's easy to say, well, it's because they don't want to be around me. Well, no, maybe you don't want to be around them.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't mean you have to do what they do. But like I've got really good friends that aren't I'm not going to say aren't saved, but aren't chasing after Christ. Okay, that I've allowed that relationship to fall away, even though it's a good, healthy, great, amazing relationship, just because of that, because I'm so focused on church and ministry and doing all these things that they're not. So I allowed that relationship. Nothing that they did. They're not trying to get me to go and do anything that they do. They're just good friends. And I've allowed that to happen. So I feel like we as Christians need to take that accountability. Accountability also is saying, you know what, I'm going to give effort in those relationships as well, because I think that would help both parties.
Sure.
You know, whether they're godly people or not, I think we can have those good relationships with people that aren't like-minded. Right. You know, of course, you don't want to hitch everything that you believe and everything that you are on those people, because again, you need good godly counsel, but you should be able to have those relationships.
Well, I told Jennifer has a friend from high school that she hangs around. And
Jennifer has friends?
She does. It's pretty amazing.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is, sweet. Oh,
so
cool.
Anyway, Jennifer has friends from high school, and I said something one day about, I don't really care for you hanging out with them because of the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
And she said, well, yeah, but what if me hanging out with them brings them closer to God instead of the other way around, and that's the main thing, is making sure that you are strong enough in your faith to hang out with those people without that having the opposite effect.
Yeah. And those friends respect that, to not to not even try to get you.
Right.
Because I could be strong enough to resist that, but you're not a good friend if you're trying to get me to go and do that.
I was gonna say it's a hard line to walk, and you have to be sure that you're on the side you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Right. And it's respect on both parties. Like, I'm going to respect you don't believe the way that I do. I'm not going to expect you to live your life the way I am. But also, don't try to get me to go and do those things either.
Right.
Like, let's meet in the middle. Let's hang out. Let's do things that we can do together. And when we're apart, hey, you go whatever you want to do, that's your life. But being able to respect each other enough to say, hey, I know where you stand. You know where I stand. Let's hang out in this good neutral zone.
Yeah.
And I talk about Mike C all the time, but he really is just one of my best friends I've ever had. And we couldn't disagree on more. Right. Like, we disagree on almost every front except for the fact that we love each other.
Right.
Like, that's it. So when we get together, it's funny stories of things that we've went through together, and how are you doing, and how's life, and how's Jamie and the kids. It's a very much neutral area.
Right.
I know you were going to say something. Sorry.
Oh no, I was thinking about my friend's wife. He's a believer. But kind of like we said, not someone chasing after Christ. I'm not sure if his wife is, just based on interactions, but I see it and I know it, and I don't let it bother me, and I always make sure that I always think of myself as a representation of Christ, and when I'm conversating with them, I'm always being sure that I'm being a good representation of Christ, and I'm doing nothing but being loving to them, asking how they are, if they need anything, how's life going, things like that.
And it's so easy to show Christ and show the love of Christ in doing that simple. Hey, how are you doing?
Right.
Not, hey, Jesus, are you living the right life? What have you been up to? Like, are you still doing that? Like, just going, hey, how are you doing?
Right.
Are you okay? Is everything good? How's the kids? How's the wife? How's your mom? How's, being invested in their life, that is showing the love of Christ to them.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's like we've got to do a better job as Christians of having those relationships of people that could not be farther away from Christ that we could just love on.
Right.
And say, hey, how's life going? Like you could tell me, like, how's things going? Like, are you okay?
Right.
You know, and I think it's a big deal that we overlook because we click up with like-minded believers, you know, and it's like, man,
well,
I think
it's easy to talk about God with like-minded believers. Yeah. I was watching Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty. He did a message at Life Church, I think it was.
Yeah.
Craig Rochelle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And his message was all on the importance of conversation and building relationship that could end up leading someone to Christ.
Yeah.
Kind of talking about the same thing. Just, you know, you see people at, you know, all the LGBTQ plus events and rallies and stuff, and they're preaching on the sidewalk and you repent and all that. And I mean, that's not going to get anyone anywhere.
Yeah. Nobody at those things go, you know what? You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. It's like, sit down, have a conversation with those people. And you may leave and not be, you have not converted anybody in either direction to believe anything you said, but at least you have a conversation and you say, hey, I just want to meet you and hear your story and talk to you and see, you know, what your life has been like to make you think this way. I may think differently than you. That's fine. You would think differently than me. That's fine. But to be able to have those conversations where I don't want to argue with you, I don't want to yell at you. Right. I may completely disagree with what you're saying. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've all seen that in churches that we've been to too. You know, when you walk in, everybody's kind of standoffish. You know, they've got their cliques and their people that they know, and they're not great at inviting other people into those groups. You know, it's frustrating because as a believer coming into a church where you're new, it's so awkward and stressful. Yeah. And if you have kids, you don't know what to do with your kids. And it's scary, man. Yeah. It's just a whole thing. But I can't imagine as a non-believer coming into that.
Right.
And just, you know, I just wanted to check out this church thing, see what it's about. And you go in and people won't talk to you and you don't know what to do. You have no idea where to go.
Yeah.
I'm walking right out the door.
Yeah, you don't know. Are we standing? Are we clapping?
Right.
Are we what are we doing? I don't know what to do. I don't have a Bible. Was I supposed to bring one? Like what version am I supposed to bring? Like how do I do this? You know, and
it can be as simple as, hey, I noticed you're new. You're kind of looking around. Come sit with me. We'll talk. We'll
I'll help. Just guide you through things. Like if you need any help, if you need being able to be that handout. And that, hey, I would like to connect with you no matter how you believe or what you think. I just want to connect with you.
Right.
You know, and being able to say, I just want to be here for you. I want to be somebody that you can come to. We can meet on a neutral playing field and say, hey, we'll meet here and I'd like to help you out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, and just relationships are so important anymore with life is you need connection with people.
Right.
And I feel like we're getting the opposite. We're getting more and more isolated.
Yeah.
I thinking about love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. It almost sounds like Jesus is putting us having a relationship with other people to hopefully eventually lead them to Christ or maintain a Christ-like relationship with each other just as much as having a relationship with Him.
Yeah. Well, so Francis Chan told this story. You know, he had this huge church and it was blowing up and it was doing great, and he felt God leading him away from that. Okay, so he said what it felt like was we're at a fishing hole. You know, we're called to be fishers of men. We're called to be fishers of people. Okay. And he said, what it felt like is all these churches and all these people and all these leaders are all fishing in one fishing hole. And it's like, he said, what it felt like is he looked up one day and he's like, there's another fishing hole over here. Mm-hmm. We're all here fishing in this one like-minded people, all the same type of fish, all the same things. When there's another fishing hole right here, all we have to do is go over to it.
Right.
It's like we're forgetting about that because, there's all this. There's like-minded believers, and there's people that look like us and sound like us and come from the same place as us. Let's stay here because it's comfortable and it's easy. It's like, I'm going to go to this one. That's awesome what y'all are doing. I'm going to go over here.
Right.
It's like, I wonder how many relationships that we look at like that. Well, I've got my church family, I've got my friends' family, and I've got my family. I'm cool with that. And we don't go outside of that to say, hey, I'd love to connect with you.
You can use my favorite line. I don't have time for any more
Yeah,
relationships.
none of us, man. We're busy people.
That's one thing that I'm liking more about the church me and Liv are going to is we've in our community group, we talked about how in the past the church has not, specifically that church has not done a good job of going out into the community. And that's literally one of the few things in the past couple of weeks that we've really just nailed down. What can we do?
Right.
Like listing off things. What can we do? And we're doing some of that Tuesday at the parade, going out into the community and doing things like that.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, as a church, and it all starts with a relationship.
Yeah.
With each other, with like-minded people and with people that don't believe, to go out into your community and make those connections and bring people to Christ.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come to church on their own. They're not. I mean, the majority of people don't just walk into a church to find out what's going on. You got to go to them.
Mm-hmm. And it's so simple. It's just like you're saying, go out and just ask them. No one likes to talk about anyone more than themselves.
Yeah.
Ask about them. They'll tell you. Get to know them.
And it, bringing it back around to like before Christ, after Christ, this should be something that when you get a relationship with Jesus begins to change,
right?
Where now you want to bring people from the outside and say, hey, let me show you this. Let me show you this group, this family. Let me show you this friendship and this friend group of people that love you. Right. Like, come on. And we should want to do that. That should be something that naturally begins to happen as we walk with Christ, is we want to be getting people in, so that's something that I think all of us need to strive to do better is get those relationships.
I heard a pastor say one time that being a Christian is like having the cure for cancer, but not telling people about it.
Yeah.
Not sharing the good news. That would be exactly what you've got, the cure to sin, and you're not sharing that with people.
You have a winning lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And you just hold on to it. It's like,
a cure for death.
Yeah. Yeah. So get out there. We want to encourage you. Get out there. Make some relationships. Just talk to, go to a coffee shop, talk to people, go to Walmart and talk to, hey, how you doing? What's your story? What do you have going on? You don't have to, well, you know what the Bible says? Oh, what you're doing is wrong. What do you just go to people and love on them. Like, people are hurting. Like, people really are. They're hurting. So it's our job to show them the light. Yeah. Not just what the scripture says, it's live it.
Right.
Not just tell them what it says.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what
you feel me?
I feel you.
Man, what else y'all got on your heart?
Nothing.
That was a little aggressive.
I know, my bad.
Feel you.
Whoa, what?
Aggressive?
Yeah, I feel you.
Oh, you said I feel you. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. That was kind of scary for a second. I thought we were going to throw down.
Hey, listeners, we just want to thank you for your continued support for the Almost Brothers podcast. Do us a favor and go to your favorite platform and rate us and like us and share with everyone that you know. Thank you so much. Love you.